Yesterday, the Supreme Court announced that they would allow the Trump administration's effective wealth test for green card applicants to stand, which is certainly bad news for people who care about immigration policy in a non-cruel fashion. Joining us to break down this and other big news of the day, Emma Vigeland of Rebel HQ is back on the show.
How you doing, John?
How's it going, Emma? Good to have you here. I want your thoughts on this, but let me give people just a little bit more information before we jump into it. So effectively, by dramatically expanding the definition of a, quote, public charge or an economic burden on society, the US Citizenship and Immigration Services regulation gives officials more power to deny visas and green card applications from immigrants and prospective immigrants whom the government determines rely or could rely on certain public benefits like food stamps and government housing programs. And to give you an idea of how broad the leeway is for making the determination that these people will be public charges, a term that I absolutely hate, the rule also allows immigrants to be declared a public charge and denied green cards even if they're employed. They literally have employment. No, I think that you're gonna be a drain on society. And by the way, effectively the Supreme Court overruled a lower court ruling that called this repugnant to the American dream. The Supreme Court apparently feels otherwise. Emma, what do you think about this development?
It's just a needlessly cruel rule by the Trump administration and a subsequently cruel decision by the Supreme Court. But this is what happens when we have Republicans in office, right? So when people said they were going to vote third party or not vote for Hillary Clinton because of all of her numerous problems, look, this is the argument that a lot of people made, including myself, about how the Republican far-right administration would stack the courts with just demonic, terrible judges who would make rulings like this. And we're seeing this at the highest level on the Supreme Court, with a majority voting 5-4, and then you have Ruth Bader Ginsburg leading Elena Kagan, Sotomayor, the rest of the liberal justices voting against it, but that's not enough. And the even more insidious form of this is in the lower courts, which doesn't get a lot of publicity, appellate courts, other lower forms that people don't really look at that much. And that's the insidious nature of all of this.
Yeah, and you could expect a lot more 5-4 decisions like this going forward, at the very least, let alone if he gets another justice, another 2 justices in a full term. I mean, like, it's gonna be a fun time in the news for the next few decades after that. Now, really fast, I wanna get your reaction to one of the presidential candidates' reactions to this change that really gets to the heart of how ridiculous this change is. Now, as an outsider looking at the Republican strategy, I think of this change as basically perfect. It's like chef's kiss perfect. It's implying that these immigrants are just going to be a drain on American society. But the great thing about it is you don't have to demonstrate it. It doesn't matter if it's true. Just by publicizing the change, you reinforce the stereotype that we know is not true statistically. But here is what Bernie Sanders had to say. He tweeted, "My father came to America at 17 without a nickel, speaking no English. He grew up to be the proudest American you ever saw. Trump's policy is disgraceful. It is not what America is about. We will defeat him and end his demonization of immigrants and the poor." And that's the thing, like when you think about the immigrant experience historically, the idea has always been, whenever people say like, hey, this was my parents' experience, my grandparents' experience, it's always, they came with almost nothing. If they were millionaires, they probably didn't want to come in the first place. And yet they came and worked hard and they made America what it is. They didn't just help themselves. They helped every other American. They helped our country. They generated jobs and inventions and all of that. It's so absurd.
Yeah, and the racist factions of society throughout history move the needle every time. So it used to be the Irish and the Italians, Jewish people as well. And now we're here where we're demonizing the Latinx community, Mexicans, people that speak Spanish traditionally. And that's really what the Trump administration has gone after here, and demonizing those particular people. I think you hit the nail on the head there, John, talking about this. I just also think it's literally setting up immigrants to fail, because say you want to apply for a green card, you want to do things the legitimate way. A green card is so you're able to work. But if you weren't able to work before, you might have had to rely on government programs, but now you want to work, you want to get a green card, you want to be a part of this American dream, fallacy that they keep pushing onto us, right? But you can't do that because you used government assistance before because you were starving and because you had no means to actually make money. Technically, people without documentation are unable to use food stamps, but they made this so broad that say you knew someone who had food stamps, or say you somehow benefited from some of these government programs, they can X you off. And I read in a PBS article yesterday that this could affect around 70% of green card applicants, which is a stunning figure.
Yeah, and a low bar for what they would like to actually weed out. They want to stop all immigration in effect. They will say that we just want the right sorts of immigrants, but that is not what their actual policies have indicated. Hopefully this is the sort of thing, by the way, not all of these horrid Trump policies will be of this fashion, but hopefully this is the sort that with the right president replacing him later this year, hopefully this can be changed relatively quickly, at least I hope. Thank you for watching this clip from the Damage Report. For more content from the show and access to TYT Network members-only exclusives, go to tyt.com/Brooke. Wait, no, it's tyt.com/John. Go to tyt.com/John to sign up.